Dans Shararea.
Good morning, everybody. Hello and welcome. This is the Blackthorn Rambles, Tarot Babble. I don't know what we're calling it. It's what it is, it is what it is. It's a morning thing, before or during, never after coffee. It's always like during or before. I hope everyone is doing well. We are recording this on May 20th, 2024, 9:54 a.m. here in Northern California. So yeah, yep. I hope y'all are doing good. It's been an eventful weekend, I suppose. Lots of weird energy going on. It's a lot of weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm sipping my coffee. So let us just dive in. I did my thing. We shuffled, we did our thing. And what needs to be discussed today? What conversations do we need to have today? Well, the Nine of Wands pops up for us. Okay. So, like normal, always feel free to share your thoughts, share your, perceptions so we can have a conversation. You are most welcome to do that. If you kind of just take a look at the card itself, if you take a look at the card, you can kind of see there's nine wands at various sort of stages. Well, there's like not nine, but there's wands, like eight wands, behind the individual at various stages. Some are full upright, some are kind of leaning, slanted, but they're pretty much stable for the most part. And then you can see kind of like the body language within the individual. They're kind of like they're focused, they're determined, but they kind of have that look where I'm aware that something's about to happen. Like I'm prepared because again, you see the bandage on the head, and they're kind of like they're utilizing the wand in their hand to kind of keep them up, but at the same time you can look at their body language and you can kind of tell that they don't really need that wand to hold them up. They're using it as a sort of a tool to be used later on, just in case they need to defend themselves, right? They're prepared. And so I feel like that a lot with this card, and you can see they're looking back, they're looking to the left, like, oh, something that has already happened, like I can. And this is what reminds me of, like, oh, this is a pattern. I see a pattern forming, or I receive information from a pattern that we've experienced, so I'm pulling from the past. Maybe like I can recognize like something's coming up, I recognize behavior, I recognize a pattern from my past or from what I've experienced, and now I can kind of like nip this before it gets into anything else. Like I've been through these experiences before where I've battled it out, where I've had these issues, and now that I'm older or more experienced, or I've grown, I'm able to sort of pinpoint within these patterns like what may arise, right? Um and so, there's a defensive stance and determination sort of like look about this card. And so if you notice the posture, like we've already talked about, then they're partially stepping away from a barrier made of wands, using one for support, slight support. I feel like it is for support, but it's also kind of to make a situation, or kind of be like, you know what, I'm not fully at 100, just so people. How do I put this? It's kind of like when you're tackling a situation, you should never go in full 100, right? You should never give someone or something or a situation everything you have all at once. You do a little bit, you gauge what it needs and what it responds with, and then you adapt, right? So if you're like fighting with someone, you don't go full force and give them everything you have. You kind of like throw a little jab here or there, and you kind of try to see and gauge the situation on how much actual physical force or exertion you need to do. And so you're paying attention to your opponent, you're paying attention to the other situation to see, how it responds, and all of that. And so you're collecting data. And I feel that with this card and the way the body's positioned and the wand here. And so uh it does suggest, the body language does suggest not just recovery from like past challenges, but also like this readiness to confront new ones. So it's like, oh, I've learned, I've experienced, and I am recovering. But in this recovery, I am equipped to handle, that what comes up next, right? And so you can see with their firm stance and determined look, especially the gaze towards the left, symbolize a prepared mind and body, geared to face the unknown. So there's that sort of vibe about this card. Um, and so, some of the things that pop up when we talk about this aspect of the card, to recognize our own personal limits, to start by acknowledging our own limits, know when we are stretching ourselves too thin and need to step back. This awareness can prevent burnout and keep ourselves mentally and physically prepared for challenges. And so I think that's another cool thing that pops up. Is like, when the Nine of Wands pops up, we might be facing some sort of burnout, but we're not there yet. But we can kind of gauge, like, oh, I can see this coming on because of past associations, or past what's the term? Like past signs, like markers, right? Markers on our path. And so I can see that if I don't handle something, and if I don't handle it right now, uh it's going to get bad. Kind of like, for some, who have different signposts or significators of like our mental health, when we can see like, oh, it's going to get like really bad, because of we can determine certain markers. And so within those markers, when we recognize our personal limits, they're like, oh, okay, let me take a breather, let me take a step back, let me utilize the tools that I have available to sort of like minimize the impact of what's coming next. Does that make sense? So that's something that pops up with the Nine of Wands. Another thing that we talk about here is to set clear goals. With the Nine of Wands, to channel the determination seen in the Nine of Wands by setting specific, achievable goals. This helps us direct our energy productively, keeping us focused and motivated even during tough times. And so it's like, there are things we still have to accomplish. There are things that we still have to do. And so, yes, we might feel tired or worn out or maybe on the verge of burnout. But again, if we recognize our personal limits and we start to employ like, whatever techniques we have to sort of minimize that impact and to help us get back in alignment with ourselves, then we also need to be mindful of setting clear goals. Like when we have smaller tasks, attainable or achievable tasks, and we focus on those things to get done. Like, okay, I have a huge list, but if I can get this done and this done, we're going to be okay. We'll get through it. So then it makes it more manageable for us, so we don't freak out, we don't feel defeated. That's another thing that is important to realize when the nine comes up for discussion. Practice assertiveness. That's another thing that pops up here in this aspect of the card, is to develop assertiveness. Developing assertiveness helps us to stand firm in our decisions and boundaries, and practice expressing our needs and opinions clearly and respectfully in personal and professional settings. And so this very well could be, when this card pops up, it's really important for us to learn to be more assertive in a healthy way. It is okay for us to affirm our boundaries. It is okay, and it's okay to struggle with that. Sometimes we're just not used to doing it. It makes us feel uncomfortable. But even if it makes us feel uncomfortable, it is something that we should learn to and we should attempt to do because it is healthy for us to affirm our boundaries, and to be assertive and to make sure that we are an advocate for ourselves. So important with this card when it pops up. Um, it's like having that courage to say, "Hey, enough is enough." And even like, oh, I had a dream last night. My like ex manager was in it. I don't remember what it was fully. I remember them. It was weird. Okay, now like little pieces are coming back. It was weird. There's like, it was at my old job, and then there were like carolers in my work space. I'm like, why are there? It's not even Christmas. It was like June, July, and I'm like, why are there carolers here? Why am I even here? I don't work here anymore. It was just weird. But like when when we're working for other people, even when we're working for ourselves, and we just get things piled on and piled on, like you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, we get so overwhelmed, overstimulated, right? Overstimulated. And so we have to be assertive in saying, no, this honestly is not part of my job description. This is not why I was hired. I will not do this. I have to make sure that my job is is efficiently handled, and done well. This is actually the job of someone who's higher up. But like, we need to find ways to say no. And I would be like, no, that's not, I can't, that's not my job. I don't get paid for that. In a better way, but like, it's like I don't get paid for that. That's not my job. Like, if you want me to do that, then you're going to have to pay me to do that. No, I'm not here to take care of to take care of you on my days off, right? I'm not here to provide all the help and assistance on when I'm not on the clock, right? This is too much for one person, especially when you're not being compensated for it. And so it's like you have to be assertive and affirm those boundaries in all aspects of our lives. Another talking point to this card is the element of fire and the suit of wands, right? The Knight of Wands, like all cards in the suit, is deeply connected to the element of fire. So when we look at these cards, we think about the fire. We think about our associations with fire, how fire can be very, very warming and healing and exciting and joyous, happy, but it also can be overwhelming. It can be consuming. It can that little spark can just consume so much and eradicate things. So there's so much to fire that we should approach with respect. And so this element represents again energy, transformation, and the drive to act. And in this card, fire manifests as the inner spark that fuels our resilience and our willingness to keep standing even when the odds are stacked against us. You can kind of see that in the card here. It's like, look at all the wands around them, and then that wand that they're holding on to, and then even the dress of their clothing, there's like this warmth to it, right? There's this fire energy, there's this fuel, there's this spark igniting within me to persevere, to carry on. So it's about maintaining that flame of determination through trials. So really it is, it's like we're going through something, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be bad, but we're going through something and we might be losing steam. We might be losing a little fire, but then it's like, no, 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 no. I've been through this. I'm going through it and I can deal with this. So let me figure out how. And we've talked by the first aspect of this card we talked about. We've talked about recognizing our personal limits, setting clear goals, practicing assertiveness, right? All of those things will help us kind of maintain that fire within us. And so when we recognize, like, oh, this is something that I can manage, this is something that I can do, I just have to start practicing more with. I have to start practicing more with fire or utilizing that fire power, right? Fire energy in my life so that I maintain it and I keep moving forward with it instead of burning out, like using too much fire at once, boom, burnout. Not enough fire, it doesn't get like initiated. There's no motivation there. Does that make sense? And so when this does pop up, when this does pop up, it's about, we can do daily motivation rituals, right? Something that we can practice is a daily motivation ritual. Incorporate a morning ritual that ignites our inner fire. And this could be a brief session of exercise, meditation, or reading something inspirational to set a productive or proactive tone for the day. And like this, I usually will wake up, I'll start my coffee, I'll get ready for this video, we'll do this video. Then after this video, I actually go and exercise. And so if you find something and switch it up too, like if you find something that ignites your soul, has that fire, do that. Read, like, set you have a Pinterest board, or you can store like affirmations or quotes, or inspirational things to surround yourself with, images, that when you wake up in the morning you can go through it, like look at it, write it down on post-it notes. I almost said posty notes, oh my god. But like, surround yourself with bits of fire. When this card pops up, it's like, oh, let's get motivated. Let's do this, right? And so that's something that is important, to maybe have a daily motivation ritual, and various rituals that sort of like boost that motivation. Another thing you could do is maybe um recite the sort of Orphic hymn to the sun or to Mars, right? The sun has that vibrancy, Mars is fire. And so maybe consider utilizing that. And then another thing to sort of work with this aspect of the card would be to pursue passion projects. We've talked about that recently. Pursue passion projects. So, engage in activities or hobbies that fuel what you're passionate about, what excites you, what brings you joy and what brings you happiness, things that like you're creative with and you really have a good time with. This not only enriches your life, but it also enhances your creative and energetic output in other areas. And so when you take time for yourself and you start to sort of like invest into those passions, you ignite that spark, that flame, that fire, and you get to utilize that energy throughout the day and throughout other aspects of your world, right? And so another thing too is embrace challenges. Embrace challenges. So use challenges as they arise as opportunities to grow and learn. So approach each new difficulty with the mindset that it is a chance to advance and strengthen your resolve, much like the enduring spirit of the wands in this specific card, right? So that's something important to navigate when we talk about this aspect of the Nine of Wands, is to learn to embrace challenges. And this helps us, like, we have it, we have it. We can discern, like, from patterns and from the past. Like, when something arises, we have the energy, the strength to embrace this friction oriented moment, and we can meet it head on, and we have the ability to work through it, right? So that's something that's important when we talk about this aspect of the card. And the last and the final, talking point of the Nine of Wands today, at least, is the archetypal energy and personal boundaries. So this card also teaches us about the importance of personal boundaries. The Nine of Wands asks us to evaluate how we protect ourselves while remaining open to new experiences. It's a delicate balance between guarding against potential threats and not closing ourselves off to opportunities. Um, so, how can we apply this balance in our lives, ensuring we're prepared but not paranoid? That's another thing with this card. You can see, like, they've been through it. They're looking back. They're looking at the past. Like, ooh, in my past, you treated me like this, and this new and this new experience, and or maybe, it's important not to channel paranoia. Uh, we have to be mindful. It's important not to get so caught up. It's like this healthy balance between caution energy, and proactive energy. And so, uh, you know, it takes time. It takes time to be able to affirm our personal boundaries. And sometimes, and I will say this, like sometimes we can overly affirm those personal boundaries. Like let's say we're new to it, right? And then we're kind of like coming out of a situation where it was just like, no, I'm not going to deal with this ever again. And so a new situation arises, and every little thing that this situation does, we kind of, it's like that, we flinch a little bit and affirm a boundary. And it's challenging because it's like with rightfully so, because we don't want to be treated or experience something that we've done in the past, but we also have to be a little more maybe graceful at times to discern, oh, this isn't actually what's going on. I'm healing and I'm recovering from something else. I actually didn't need to affirm that boundary. There was no reason for it, so sometimes that can lead to confusion with other people. But as long as we can recognize it, hey, we'll get through it. It's fine. It's, it will be fine. um and so that's where the balance of openness and caution comes through. It's important to strive to find a balance between protecting ourselves and being open to new experiences. And this might mean taking calculated risks and trying new things in a controlled manner, allowing us to grow while still feeling safe. So, if we want to try new things, but we're also kind of apprehensive or nervous because of past experiences, I think it is important to protect ourselves. It's important to get, maybe, let's say we're going to a new, I don't know if you go to bars or something. I don't. You're going to a new bar, but like you don't have good experiences, but you have like a new friend group or something. I don't know, but like you're gonna end up in a space that you don't like to normally go to, but you would like to spend time with these people, and you're not really comfortable suggesting another place yet. Um, what you could do is maybe learn about that environment, learn about that bar, the types of people that go in. Do a little research, right? Do a little research, and if you feel comfortable, you can go and you can stay for however long you need. You can even say, like, you know what, I'm going to stay for like 15 minutes. I'm going to say hi. I'm going to get that sort of social interaction, show up and let people know that, hey, cool. I'm interested in getting to know you better, whatever it is. And then make an exit. Like you can do that. Have a plan for yourself to at least put yourself in that position where you can explore. You've already done your research, you know where the exits are, whatever it is, whatever you need to do to feel safe in a new setting, um to experience, and then to also make your exit, if and when you feel like this is where I need to go, right? And that way you can then maybe next time suggest, hey, why don't we go here, or let's try this. So balancing openness and caution is something that is important. Okay. Communicate boundaries clearly as well. So once you know your boundaries, communicate them clearly to those around you, whether at work, with friends, or in family relationships. Clear communication can prevent misunderstandings and maintain healthy relationships. Let's say you can't go to a bar. Let's say like that's too much temptation, and you have a history, yada yada yada. You don't want to. And it's important to, instead of saying no, I'm not going to go, just say, hey, if you feel comfortable, you can express, hey, actually, I would love to get to know all you better. I would love to hang out with you. I would if affirm that, like, however you choose to say it, but basically state that bars are not my scene, can't do that. But if you ever hang out here, or if you'd like to hang out elsewhere, I'm open to that. Just let me know, something like that. But affirm boundaries as well. Like even with workplaces, can you stay late for this? No, I cannot. I can't. Or if you're gonna pay me for this late, time, then yes, I can consider it. But I think it's affirming boundaries and professionalism and work is so important. Um, you know, Not allowing people to guilt trip you in family situations, uh, affirming boundaries clearly So important, an important aspect of this card. Another thing that comes up with the nine of wands is mindful self-reflection. So regularly spending time in self-reflection to understand what boundaries are necessary for our well-being, like what's necessary, what is a reality for us, what is important to us, what do we need to affirm, right? So assess which aspects of our lives that need more protection and which need more openness. That's actually a really cool thing to do. It's like, you know what? I feel a little unsafe in certain situations with again because of past experiences. And so moving forward, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to shut myself off from these experiences, but I know that I am uncomfortable, and that's not anyone else's problem but my own, right? Like I recognize that, and so I have to figure out how to handle this. And so I have to figure out how to treat myself with a little extra care and protection if I do try new things that I want to do, but I'm also hesitant to do. Does that make sense? And so mindful self-reflection is like, okay, I can protect myself a little more in this situation, and that needs my care. I need to make sure that I have the tools available to me to work through and navigate when this happens or when I'm in a situation that comes up that needs that extra care and protection. And then, where am I too, like, overly guarded, overly protected, and I kind of want to be more open? Where do I need to be a little more open in my life, right? In my situation, in the sectors of my life. That's something also that pops up with the nine of wands that we need to address. So all in all, what do y'all think? What do you make of it? So how do you feel about the nine of wands? A lot of information, and that's just like, honestly, that's just a little bit of conversation. There's so much more to the cards, there's so much more. But when the nine of wands pops up, at least you have these sort of like conversational starter pieces where this is the type of information that it's associated with, this is the type of information that we can talk about, or the discussions that come up. Where do I need to be motivated? Maybe where do I need to be protected? Where do I need to be a little more cautious? And how do I balance that caution with openness and activity? Where do I need to be clear on my boundaries? So many things pop up with this card, right? So I hope that you can take something from this and utilize it. I do appreciate each and every one of you. I do have a workshop coming up on May 26th. It will be recorded too, so if you can't make it, you can still receive the recording. Reach out to me on Facebook, the House of Blackthorn. Reach out to me to book your spots, but it's gonna be really cool. It's $45, but it's going to be well worth it. Well worth it. We're going to talk about cleansing. I've titled it Cosmic Clearing Essentials because we're going to be talking about utilizing the planetary influences of the days, to cleanse, how to work and navigate cleansing of the body of the person, right, and of atmosphere, or homes, environments, utilizing whatever day's planetary ruler is. So, like, let's say we have a home cleansing to do on a Wednesday. We can really maximize that cleansing vibe by working with Mercury, right? So it's gonna be really fun. Anyways, if that's something that you're interested in, just message me on my business page on Facebook, and we'll get you set up. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.